educational environment. The following options were presented to the board, and these were tough options. We all want a new middle school. We all know we need a new middle school. The middle school houses and educates grades 5 through 8. Option 1, completely rebuild the middle school serving grades 5 through 8. Option 2, build an addition alongside the existing middle school to serve grades 5 and 6 and completing a renovated existing spaces. Option 3, build an addition alongside the existing middle school to serve grades 7 and 8 and renovate only the music, art, and STEM portions of the existing school. Option 4, build a large addition adjacent to the existing music, art, and STEM spaces to serve grades 5 through 8, and demolition of existing half-circle classroom wing. Option 3 was selected by the district, by us school board directors, as the most cost-effective solution as to meet the district's current needs and budget availability, while providing the opportunity in the future to expand the building with additional education spaces in a similar manner as to option number 4, which I read. Again, Abington Heights' middle school educates classes 5 through 8. This project that we're doing and spending for $42 million is, as it was described many times, an opportunity for art, music, and STEM, and an opportunity for the 7th and 8th grade classrooms. One of our biggest safety issues was the half a circle with all of our classrooms. And grades 5 and 6 are still currently going to be using that classroom until we make a decision on phase 2, if we can possibly renovate and accomplish phase 2. This project that we're voting on tonight is an incredible opportunity for our students. I'm struggling terribly with the added gym before we are renovating the 5th and 6th grade educational classrooms. The opportunity arose for the bids to have alternatives. So the gymnasium was an alternative. So we were able to see what the value of the gym and asked if we held off on the gym at this time, is there a possibility that we could add that gym in possibly phase 3 after we complete the educational classrooms with 5 and 6 and save that funds for that? And unfortunately, I believe I'm the only one that really is offering an opportunity for us to do this project, because we all know how vital and important it is. But save those funds and use those funds for the 5th and 6th grade. Safety issues we're all talking about. Sustainability we're all talking about. I look at things in a different lens. I prioritize. I happen to be fortunate enough to be a junior high coach. So I spend every afternoon at 2:30 at the middle school in those gyms, sharing those gyms, those current gyms, with 4 or 5 other fall or spring coaches, with students, and we make it work. It is not the easiest thing, but I am a strong believer that I believe that our education classrooms are more important at this time for us to use those funds for all of our grades. Phase 1 should be without that gym. Phase 2 should use that money that we're saving for the gym to renovate the rest of the school. In one of these meetings, on Friday's meeting, when we were reading the bids, one of the board directors had asked, what are we doing with the auditorium in the cafeteria and the library? And at this time, this $41 million does not, it doesn't touch any of that. But we are all approving a brand new gymnasium. The two gyms, the auxiliary gym, you can only have one athletic activity in there at a time. Thank God we have two. I share that with 4 other coaches. We make it work. And the track teams, if you heard, all of our teams are soaring. The education is part of the extracurriculars. I believe it makes a whole student. But it is more important for us, I believe, to really work hard on grades 5 through 8 and make sure our education classrooms, because that was our biggest concern. There's no windows. There's no, there is the particle board that is used is unsafe. It's flammable. But yet our 5th and 6th graders for the next, until we make a decision for phase 2, our 5th and 6th graders are using all of that. I know we're having more space because 7th and 8th graders will be in the other wing. I commend the traffic and the changes of the crazy traffic that we have, the safety on that and the lighting. But I would really hope that we would all consider and prioritize and not put the gym in at this time and save that $4.5 million. And one other thing. Our budget, we've had budget conversations. We know that we are in a year where healthcare costs are really astronomical. We know that we applied for exceptions for our special ed programs and we were denied. So we have extra special ed costs. We have charter school reform, expenses. Our professional staff contract is up. We all are experiencing inflation. And part of this, we are dipping into our general fund to pay off some of this debt service. And that is needed for our operational budget. So I would really love it if we would reconsider the gymnasium at this time and put that funding towards the 5th and 6th grade classrooms so we could actually feel as a board that our top priority and what we all agreed on at the very beginning of this was that our educational classrooms were inadequate for our teachers. And I'm going to share something more about the teachers with my vision of being there every day. Those teachers go beyond the call of duty to make sure that every student in classroom, despite the building and the issues that we have with it, they make it work, and they make it work unbelievably. And the locker rooms in the lower level, they need major work, but they are used every day. Every day, any student that is staying after school, they are down in that locker room changing for either their away game or their extracurricular activity. And the teachers make it work. So I am 100% in favor of this project, but I am very disappointed that we are putting the gymnasium in this phase 1 first before we are addressing the educational classrooms of grades 5 through 8. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other comments? Mr. Azar.
Sure, I'll be brief. I just want to say I'm very excited that we're approving this tonight. We've talked about this before, but this is a fantastic development for our students and for our school district. The first time I walked through that middle school, I've told this story before, I'll tell it again, was about a month after I joined the board when I, for some reason walked into the burning building and joined the board during COVID. And we didn't talk about facilities for months. We started to and we stopped because we were all dealing with COVID. But about a month in, I did take a tour of that middle school when we were talking about getting the kids back and how's virtual learning going. And I'll be honest, I had a 5th grader and a 6th grader in that building. I had never been in that building other than in the lobby. And what I saw when I walked through that building blew my mind, that was how our kids are being educated. And so I want to commend all my fellow board members that are here tonight for taking a step in the right direction and creating what is going to be a fantastic learning environment. The second point I want to make is, and we've all been busy evaluating the bids and going through the necessary process, but as soon as we possibly can, we do need to convene as a finance committee and take the risk off the table as soon as we possibly can, in my opinion. And I know we've talked about doing this. We have to decide this quickly and get the ball rolling on the financing. So I just wanted to make sure I made that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other, excuse me, any other comments? Mrs. Henderson?
This is going on 4 years that I've been on the board, and, I think it goes without saying, there was a tremendous amount of inherited debt that this board and administration took on. I'm extremely proud of what we've accomplished since the time that we've worked together. It hasn't been easy. It does come down to being responsible in many different ways, and I applaud the administration for the process that we went through. I know Dr. Schaefer detailed it in his presentation, but one of the first things that we had the opportunity to do when we joined the board was to take a tour of all of the buildings, to see the physical space that our students sit in and every day, and that, the buildings that our teachers are teaching in, and all the educators and staff members are sitting in for most of their waking hours. It definitely was eye-opening, because I had kids at one elementary school and the middle school at the time. And, we offered the opportunity for community members to come see the physical state of the buildings. We jokingly called it a roadshow, but I think it was more meant to be a town hall where we had board meetings at different buildings so that people could see the facilities that our students were sitting in. So, not many people would argue that we need a new building. It's just a matter of trying to figure out the best way to afford it. And obviously, the best solution would be to build a brand-new middle school, but unfortunately, we can't do that. We looked at renovating, like several other people spoke to. It's hard. Remember KCBA said it's hard to renovate your way out of a semicircle. It's hard. Those walls classrooms are made of particle board. So you have the benefit of listening to the teacher in front of you, but can hear the teachers on either side. And I can only imagine how difficult that is for, the average learner, but then you throw kids in there with behavioral and learning exceptionalities, neurodiverse population. It just makes it extremely difficult to learn. So I do think, phase 2, we might not know when that comes. That could be 5, 10, 15 years from now. So I do think, and we've had this conversation in public before, and we've had conversations with Dr. Schaefer, I think we need to look at the circle. When half the school's out of there, we do need to look at the circle to see what we can do to make it more conducive to learning, how we can reconfigure the walls, but be fiscally responsible, knowing that someday we hopefully will have a new wing for the 5th and 6th grade students. But I do think we need to take a deep dive in looking at what can make it more conducive. And it might be able to extend beyond the physical space, getting the kids outside during the day, since there's no natural light in that end. But I do think, I do ask that we take a look at what we can do that's reasonable and fair. And, I wish the community could really see, what the kids are sitting in each day. I think the only thing that Dr. Schaefer's Instagram and Facebook page is missing is a tour of, which people could see what it's like switching classes and what it's like sitting in those classrooms. I think I would love to see a couple reels on that. But like I said, I'm proud of what we've accomplished. I'm glad that we're kind of putting a shovel in the ground. Dr. Schaefer's also spoken about, the new gym is not just a gym for sports and athletics. It extends beyond that. It can be used for all different types of, learning spaces. Other classes can be taught in that other than PE class, pep rallies, school assemblies, it goes on and on. We can, there's ways to generate revenue through renting it. The possibilities are endless, but it's not just about building a third gym. I mean, the auxiliary gym, it's basically a very large hallway. I've coached in that room. It's difficult. The fact that we call it a gym is, it is what it is. That's its name. But anyway, I'm just, like I said, I think it's our responsibility to the students and the community who's entrusted us to make decisions. And I think, we're moving in the right direction. I'm proud to be a part of it. And again, I applaud the administration for really looking at things through all angles, and it has not been easy. We've had a lot of difficult conversations, and like Mr. Robeson said, sometimes we've, talked in circles and disagreed, but I think we're doing the right thing. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Warren?
Any other comments? Yes.
I think we are all expressing just how excited we are to be here today. Many of us have direct experience with the middle school. This facility study, if you haven't had an opportunity to read it, please do. You'll see kind of what we're up against and why we chose to prioritize this project. We discussed at length possibly renovating. I don't know about you all, but renovating a building from the 70s that hasn't been touched since it was dedicated is challenging, and those costs might be more unpredictable and or exorbitant than we may know. And, you know, a school is a learning environment. In theory, we could build boxes, right, as classrooms. Like, in theory, we could build just rectangles and classrooms, but we want a space where our kids grow and learn and play. We talk all the time about how to manage technology use in the classroom and in our homes. We talk about keeping our kids active and playing and socializing. And we want our school environment, this is what we talk about when we talk about modern learning environments, to reflect, you know, the best spaces for them to spend the majority of their time. If you've ever had a child come home, I mean, as I have, where, you know, they're in those buildings all day long. That's the majority of the time out of their homes. And I want it to be pleasant. I want it to be something where they are comfortable and, you know, have sunlight and plenty of space to exist. KCBA made a point that I just wanted to reflect on, and he talked about the Act 34 hearing and sort of the state's way to make sure you're not building a Taj Mahal, right? And a community member I talked to a few weeks ago said, you know, we're doing please, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but we're doing a Ford and not a Ferrari, right? Like, we also don't want a lemon. So we are trying to make sure we invest well in this space. And lastly, to Rod's point about the Finance Committee, I am in charge of that. We have been meeting regularly to just keep reviewing financial scenarios and to hold the financial team, the professionals that we're working with, to hold them accountable. So we've asked them to go back multiple times to discuss what room we have in our budget to use our cash balance or our capital reserves, how to keep the burden on the taxpayers as reasonable and as low as possible. And we will have all those projections out to the public in the near future. And again, you know, one of the reasons why we don't get to build 4 new grades at once, right, is because we want to make sure that the entire community is thought of in this plan. And we hope that in the future we can, by removing 2 grades from this building, we increase our square footage and we increase the ability for those students to have more open classrooms, more light in their rooms. But it's my hope that this begins a more forward-looking, future-looking investment in facilities in general, and that we continue on this path to make our learning environments for our students the best they can be. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Abdallah.
So, this is my baby. This is the reason I got on the board, only because Mr. Robeson used to get sick of me calling him on a daily basis, telling him how crappy some of the buildings were. And he said, well, I'm the only one that wants to do anything, so get on the board. So the reason I got on the board was to do this kind of stuff, and I'm really excited. I mean, we probably have 1,000 hours into this in 3 years, so to get to vote on it now, I don't get sentimental often, but I'm happy.
Are we going to see you cry?
No, I'm good.
We'd all pay money for that.
I cry a lot.
Okay. Any other comments? I'd like to echo, you know, speaking last is tough because everybody else has said everything you're already thinking. But to Mr. Robeson's point, we have known about the middle school for a long time. And I've been on the board, not the longest of us here, but certainly the people on the board knew the condition of some of the facilities, but they made a conscious decision at that time that they didn't want to raise taxes. And the focus was to keep the numbers down and not burden the taxpayers. And I think, you know, that was great at the time, but I think what you really have to look at is that you need to have tax increases on a year-to-year basis because your costs go up, and you need to continually work on your facilities, and we did not. I look at this a little bit as opportunities lost, because if we had worked on this project when we should have, the building cost would have been a half or less, and I think the interest rate we'd be looking at is probably close to, Mr. Azar, 2%,
Much lower.
1 or 2%.
I'll say much lower.
So I look at all this. I'm excited about it, but I also have a lot of bittersweet feelings about it. Mr. Stoller, to your point, we have had to make a lot of trade-offs. When our friends at KCBA came to us with the first study, they basically told us we had to work on every building. The mechanical systems in every building in the school district are beyond the useful life. A whole range of things. I think the total was over $100 million that they said, not that you ought to spend, but you have to spend. And the board knew we couldn't do that, and basically said, what can we do? And this was the trade-off we made. So, yes, this is going to be expensive, but I think this board, and I have to compliment everybody here, has been very, very conscious of making sure we protect the school district's finances and the community. And finally, I want to compliment, first of all, KCBA. You guys have been great. To some extent, you've been responsive. We kind of put you through a bit of a grinder from time to time where we had crises. Chair Mirabelli, always able to pull the numbers together. And certainly, Mr. Azar and the Finance Committee, you guys worked very, very hard. So I want to compliment all of you. And of course, it has to end with Dr. Schaefer. You've fussed us all the way through this. You've worried the details, and I'm just glad we're here. So,
Don't forget the vote now.
so we've already had a motion and a second.
That's what I'm just
So
reminding you.
now, thank you very much.
Just to clarify, I was the Facilities Committee, Mrs. Karam was the Finance Committee. So I appreciate that,
Same
I
guy as
appreciate
well.
the shout out, but.
Okay, sometimes.
But we're really lucky to have Rod on that committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azar. Okay. That being said, I'd like a roll call, please.
Mrs. Henderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Hillebrand,
Abstain.
Mrs. Karam,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney,
Abstain.
Mr. Abdallah,
Yes.
Mr. Azar,
Yes.
Mr. Acker.
Yes.
7 with 2 abstentions.
Okay. Thank you all. Our next item of business is to review the treasurer's report and the bills and approve the report as presented. So, Mrs. Karam, the floor is yours.
We began the month with a cash balance of $22,976,347.04. We took in $2,092,233.65 in revenues. Our net disbursements were $4,504,416 and 74 cents for a cash balance available of $20,564,163.95. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A motion to approve the report as
So
presented.
moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Hillebrand,
Yes.
Mrs. Karam,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney,
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah,
Yes.
Mr. Azar.
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Acker,
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Acker, to ask the board to consider a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion?
I have a few comments. The first retirement is Stacy Bamford, middle school schools counselor. Congratulations to Stacy Bamford. She, what a great contributor to the counseling at the middle school. She has done an incredible job, and so I commend her for her years of service. and also Cleve Elmy, who is the head of our physical and health and phys ed department. He's many years of service, and he's also a coach at Abington Heights, and he's also the Abington Area Joint Rec Board district liaison to the rec board, and he has helped the rec board quite a bit with the girls' softball field. So I just want to give a shout out to Cleve. It's been an honor to have him at our district and as a coach also. So thank you for both of them.
Thank you. Yes, sir?
I could just like to echo the impact Mr. Elmy's had on the community. He's been hugely impactful to tons of girls over the years. I know my daughter really appreciated him, so.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Roll call, please.
It's probably not my job, but just to clarify, Cleve is not retiring. He's just retiring from his chairperson position.
Well, he did a great job
Well, he did a great
as the
job.
chairperson of that
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah, that
We're
committee.
glad he's staying.
Yeah.
Does he know we're stepping
Oh, good, because we need him as that girls softball coach.
Now he knows we like him.
Yeah,
Oh, well, I take it back, Cleve.
he appreciates all you said, I'm sure.
So we'll just blame Michelle Snyder on that, right?
That's it. It's chairperson. It's not clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was resigning too.
Mrs. Karam,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney,
Yes.
Mr. Abdullah,
Yes.
Mr. Azar,
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Hillebrand,
Yes.
Mr. Acker,
Yes.
9-0.
I was just laughing to myself, poor Cleve. I mean, like, everybody's thinking he's retired, but at least, like, it's like some foreshadowing, a harbinger of things to come. At least he knows.
Yeah, he
He's going to
knows
say
about
nice stuff about him.
Taking a picture with her.
All right. Cleve, we look forward to many more years of service, but,
Do you suppose when he gets to school tomorrow, everybody's going to look at him and say, why are you here today?
so, blame Michelle Snyder. Okay. Did we- Oh, really? It's their fault. All right. Did we vote yet? I'm sorry, I took us off.
We did vote on that. We're
On
on.
to E. On to E.
All right.
D, rather. D,
At
D.
this point, I'd ask the board to approve the May 2025 volunteer list.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney,
Yes.
Mr. Abdullah.
Yes.
Mr. Azar.
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Hillebrand,
Yes.
Mrs. Karam.
Yes.
Mr. Acker,
Yes.
9-0.
Oh, my God.
Mr. Acker, asks the board consider a motion to approve the agreement between the Abington Heights School District and NTIEC to provide career education services for the academic years 25-26 through 26-27.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney,
Yes. Mr. Acker, you didn't see my hand raised.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Schaefer, approximately how many students take advantage of this?
Dr. Tierney, do you have an idea? I know we talked about the internships, job placements, and so on and so forth. Do you? How about both? Okay. Pass.
Like the ones that we provide is about a dozen students, and then the ones that we partner with outside agencies and colleges is probably 2 dozen.
Great,
Like
thank you.
36
Yeah.
kids, right.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so I think the vote is on you.
yeah, she said.
Yes, yeah, yes.
Mr. Abdullah.
Yes.
Mr. Azar.
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Hillebrand,
Yes.
Mrs. Karam.
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Acker,
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Acker, asks the board consider a motion to approve the NEIU intergovernmental agreement along with the board resolution for the special education services.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Tierney,
Yes.
Mr. Abdullah,
Yes.
Mr. Azar.
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Hillebrand,
Yes.
Mrs. Karam.
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mr. Acker,
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Acker, asks the board consider a motion to approve the agreement with the Scranton School District AEDY program and Student 48A.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Robson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board to consider a motion to approve the special education services agreement between Abington Heights School District and the Graham Academy for the 25-26 school year.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Robson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the Datum Projects, Inc. bid for the abatement of asbestos at AHMS.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Robson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the addition of a girls varsity wrestling program at Abington Heights High School.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Exciting.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Robson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Okay, the next two items are information and unfinished business. Is there any?
just
Mrs.
gonna finish
Henderson,
my
you look like you're about
curriculum
to. Mrs. Tierney?
Old business? I'd like to ask some questions about the high school's project that's underway that looks phenomenal at the high school multipurpose field. Is there any consideration for drainage for the throwing area for the track program?
Yeah, I believe that that swath was, I don't know if they've, I thought that they went in and remediated it, but that was kind of like, I haven't gone today, but,
It's underwater.
all right, well then, when that was put in, they were also putting a pad for the shed. And when the tractors rolled in, if you remember seeing that, there was a little bit of a swath when in the late 60s when the building was built, that drainage was supposed to go down that way. So there was a little trough in there, and through moving it out, it kind of evened out, which caused the flooding in there. But I'll check with the people at the Lux, because that was something that when it occurred, we sent something and they immediately noticed that
Yeah,
that wasn't there.
The swale was a problem, but there's still, I think, a drainage issue with the material that was put down, so they probably
Alright.
have to look at that too.
And then part two, the shed. Is there funds for this shed?
I was looking for a donation.
The original shed was a donation.
And we don't have it? I mean, there's no shed?
No, we have a shed. The shed that was there.
Okay, so I'm looking for an opportunity to put hurdles and all kind of track equipment. I thought there was going to be a shed build for the track equipment.
Not yet, but let me get back to you, because as I've been walking down there, there were, and this falls into the anecdotal. We've talked about it, and then some people in different organizations said, well, we'll donate a shed. And I said, well, we need to first figure out where to put it and size-wise, because I too mentioned not only hurdles, but mats and some other things like
Yeah.
that. And we've identified another spot closer to the multi-purpose field that they've identified as a spot where we could put something as well. I just need to see what type of size we're looking at.
I think
But that's
there
what I
are
meant by
dis-
donations.
I think there are discussions. Coach Bassetti, the track and field head coach, told me that there's discussions between him and the Booster Club about replacing the track shed, which is not for like hurdles and the bigger stuff, like the mats. So I think there is discussions about that donation. But the storage issue of the other stuff is a bigger issue.
Yeah, and then one of my biggest pet peeves is there funds for restrooms? We have increased the ability for our student athletes to participate in many more outside activities along with grandparents and parents, and yet we do not have one increased bathroom other than porta johns that we've put out.
There are the bathrooms over in the field house. I will say that I don't mind putting proposals in front of the board, and this, again, goes to the push and pull nature of facilities. I talked to the gentleman that built the concession stand in the bathroom in 2000 early, and I said, "Hey, Jerry, could you build one here? What did it cost then? What would it be now?" And the number was close to $1 million now. And they grow, because what happens is over time they take a look and say, okay, here's your field, here's what we project the number of spectators. So you need to build some bathrooms that would accommodate X, Y, and Z. So I can put that in front of you. I'm just letting you know. I wish there was, like, I was kicking and screaming saying, you can't build like one here? And it's much more than that. That's what led me to Jerry to be like, hey, could you do this? And I threw a random number that some educator not in construction would, and he laughed, and he's like, no, it's not 2003, Chris. So,
Could I throw one thing out there? So like, I think that Mr. Abdallah's talked about having an extracurricular committee meeting. I don't know if that would be extracurricular facilities, but we had previously, and I can't remember what meeting it was, if it was facilities or extracurricular, but we had talked about potentially building something larger than just restrooms, like a pavilion with concession area and a viewing area, right? So like that's a much bigger project, but if you look behind, and this we can talk about after today, but I think there could be a spot where you could build just restrooms against the school that might be more cost effective than trying to build a standalone building, which we had talked about at a prior meeting. So maybe that could be a more cost effective way to just add restrooms over there. It definitely is a big issue.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. It's just, unfortunately, as we talked about tonight, we've got pretty limited resources to do a lot of the educational stuff that we want to do, but
Question is, do we
it's a big issue.
add more porta johns, as awful as they are, like in the time being, to have in a more convenient location? Because it is quite a hike, from one field to the other.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the sheer space of where people are, for a baseball game compared to where they are for the new field.
And then my last question is the traffic situation at the high school when there are 4 events going on. Have there been plans to redirect parking, traffic, more parking lots? Are there plans in the making for that?
So, to no one's surprise, we're somewhat landlocked up there. What I will say is that we have the opportunity, here we go with the push and pull. We're always in a state of homeostasis, right? There are contributing factors and resisting factors relative to our goals. But the one option I will say that we do have, and I'll wait for a quote, is a pervious parking lots, which would, at the high school, be between the construction access road and the parking lot. And if you want to know what a pervious parking lot looks like, if you've ever gone to Keystone College, right next to their baseball field, they have it. They, in layman's terms, they just dig down maybe 6 inches, they put some rock in, and then they put these plastic grates down, and you put some more rock on it, and there's probably some other technical things that happen in there. And then you can plow over it in winter. And that's a pervious surface, and that's important for a lot of reasons, and that one is it doesn't require all of the permitting and wastewater or the stormwater runoff studies and things like that. So at the high school, I can tell you that we're in a spot where you really can't put too much more concrete, cement down there. But that's one where I asked Jerry for a quote. So we went up to Keystone to take a look at it so that we can leverage. I talked to Dr. Tioni. She's always asking for extra parking and space available. That's really our only option left, is to do some type of pervious solution up there.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Hold on, wait.
Mrs.
What are
Henry.
John's first? Go ahead.
Doing the rest of your report, right?
Yeah, I'm going to, second half of the curriculum committee report. Kidding. I'm glad Mrs. Tierney brought up the traffic at the high school. I want to say the morning traffic at the high school is remarkably different. You're in and out of the awful line in 11 minutes. I think the record is, it used to be an average of 26 minutes. I'm counting, so I'm like flying into a meeting. But I definitely think just the vibe and the feel, not only is it flowing differently, but it is nice to see administrators and teachers out there. I just feel like the vibe when the kids are getting there is much more upbeat, and, teachers are just laughing and saying good morning. The feel is completely different, so thank you for the changes. And I know it's been a wet few weeks, so, we see them out there, so just let your teachers know that we see them, and their slickers and umbrellas and whatnot, but it definitely has made a huge difference. I think I've gotten more comments on that than I did, well, maybe not on the civics course.
My grandma
getting
used the
cut.
word slickers. I just
Slicker.
want that down as a record.
Raincoat.
Wow.
You don't have a slicker, Anthony?
Miss Henderson, slickers.
You're gonna get a slicker, all right.
Kids use a toboggan.
Yep. And a sleigh ride. So, I'm glad Mrs. Tierney brought up the traffic at the high school. Thank you, Dr. Tioni, to you and your slicking staff. Anthony, you're gonna get a slicker. I'll tell you what.
I'll make a motion. We're done here, right?
Before this devolves any further.
I
May I have a motion
apologize.
to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you all.